Hey guys, welcome back to Ready Facts. Today we have another amazing story on Ready Facts. People are telling me, 25M, that my GF, 25F, cheated on me. So last month, my 25M girlfriend, 25F, of 2 years got asked to go on a cheap vacation with a group of people she kind of knows. She's friends with 2 people in the group, and they were going to get a discount if they had 10 people to go on the trip. It was a 10-for-8 discount and basically, 2 people would go on the trip for free. But their friend group had only 9 people, so they asked my GF. She didn't want to go, but her friend pressured her, saying that she's never left the country before, and it would be fun. She caved and went on the trip. And she hated it. Like, she would call me to do nothing but complain about the activities and the group. Which I understood because the planned trip was all stuff my girlfriend hates. Scuba diving, she's afraid of the ocean; hiking for a day and a half, she doesn't like; camping, going to parties, she has sensory issues; being on the beach, which is what she called the days she spent watching the other 9 girls flirt with everything that moved, and other stuff. She's introverted, and I can count on my hands the number of times she leaves the house in a week, including taking out the trash or going grocery shopping. She's WFH as well, so she doesn't have to go to the office. She came back about 2 weeks ago, and the day before yesterday I got a text from my sister, 26F, saying that we needed to talk. I met her yesterday, and she told me that my girlfriend cheated on me on the trip. Apparently, one of the girls felt guilty and told my sister, who's friends with her. According to this girl, my GF went clubbing with them, had 10 shots, got drunk, kissed a guy, went to the bathroom with him, did a line of coke off his DCK, and then proceeded to have sex with at least a dozen different men. And guess what? My sister apparently got video evidence of this. She showed me a CRPPY video in 360p of a girl with the same hair color and build as my GF riding some black dude while blowing and jacking off 3 others and saying that they were so much better than her boyfriend. It was like watching some weird CU cold PRN, and I was mystified. The quality of the video was so horrible that for all I knew, it could be Lana Rhoades in it. And none of the actions of that night described my GF. The clubbing, she hates the sensory overload from the loud music and flashing lights. She would never go to a nightclub. 10 shots, my GF is a lightweight that can barely function after 3 cocktails. If she had 10 shots, she'd probably be dead. Not to mention that she hates the taste of alcohol and only drinks fruity cocktails. Coke, so apparently my GF got blackout drunk and also decided to do hard drugs? That makes no sense to me. SX with a dozen men, she's still a little nervous when having vanilla SX with me, so unless the liquid courage and coke did a 180 to her personality, she would never agree to a gangbang. And this apparently took place on their last night there. Wouldn't she have a horrible hangover, not to mention whatever the equivalent of a hangover for coke? When I picked her up from the airport, she was so fresh and happy to see me. In contrast, all the other girls looked like zombies. There were more holes in this story than Swiss cheese, but my sister was so insistent that I just told her I'd talk to my GF to get her to leave me alone. I went home and said that people said you cheated on me, and I'm confused why, and she was just as confused. She said none of that ever happened, and she spent the last night there in her room on her laptop. She wanted to get a good night's sleep before the flight, since she finds it hard to sleep on airplanes. And one other important factor is that she was cheated on in her previous relationship, and she told me a long time ago that she would break up with me instead of cheating because no one deserves to go through something like that. I believe my GF, but it's my sister who's telling me this. Someone I'm incredibly close to and trust. If her friend came to me with this story, I likely would have laughed in her face. And honestly, it took everything in me to not laugh at my sister because the story she gave me reads like a CRPPY porn plot. But my sister wouldn't lie to me, so now I'm conflicted. And now she's gone and told a bunch of our mutual friends, who are also telling me that the proof all points to her cheating on me. The proof is so full of holes that no one would ever believe it, but the person telling me this is one of the most important people in my life. But another person incredibly important to me is telling me that the story isn't true. What the heck do I do? Story 2. I, 30M, confronted my wife, 26F, about cheating and it went sideways. This is going to be a bit long-winded, but here it goes. My wife and I have been married 4 years and together for almost 6. We have 2 children together, 2 and 3-year-old girls. The last year of our relationship has been a roller coaster of emotions and without a doubt the toughest year of our marriage/lives. About 3 months ago, the business I worked at closed, and she began starting work. Our marriage was rocky at that time, and since the transition, we have talked about separation multiple times. Since starting work, she has talked multiple times about how much male attention she gets, and TBH, I'm not a jealous guy, and was supportive of her feeling good about herself and whatnot. She'd been a stay-at-home mom for 3 years as well as definitely having an awkward/ugly duckling phase that lasted basically her whole life up until we met, so I was very happy she felt confident in herself. I started to hear the same names over and over again and began to get suspicious. This last week, we fought horrendously. Separated one day, together the next, just absolutely going through it. A few days ago, our youngest daughter messed with my wife's diary and dumped the contents onto our bed. A phone number on a sheet of paper fell out, and my wife panicked and snatched it all up. I couldn't just ignore everything anymore. I should preface that this whole week prior, my wife and I had came up with a plan together to work on our marriage and move forward with it together. The plan was mostly her design. I have a tendency to be the only one who makes plans, so I wanted to give her the reins. But in the process of doing it we had agreed that we were still going to be together, however our goals were to fix ourselves as individuals first and then as a couple. We kind of lost ourselves completely while married and wanted to get our own identities back. We were to live separately to do so, but also agreed that we weren't dating anyone else. My wife swore that she would never sleep with anyone else or date anyone else and that it was ridiculous because she had so many other priorities above that and would never do that to me on even the basest of friendship levels, let alone our connection through our relationship. I did an awful thing and I read her diary. I know, I broke into her safe space and I felt horrible about it. With all the things she had been saying, being secretive, the number that fell out. Before I read anything I called the number that had fallen out and it went straight to the voicemail of the guy whose name I'd heard the most. I couldn't take it anymore and I read through the last few entries in her diary and discovered that the number was in fact a customer from her work and she had been texting him. She also wrote that she was planning on leaving me for him and was conflicted about what to do. I confronted her about it when she came home that night. At first, I asked her to tell me the truth if there was anything that had happened while we were fighting and working on things that she wanted to tell me about, and said that I had heard a name mentioned multiple times by her at work and wanted to know if there was anything there. She lied and said no and that she was committed to working on us. A fight ensued and since she lied I knew our marriage was basically over, so I told her I had read her diary. We fought again for another few hours and then it mellowed out and she leveled with me about a lot of things. It felt real. She told me we'd lost our spark and that it felt so good to be treated like that by someone else. She told me that she did have the desire to sleep with him but that not enough to act on it and it was more of the fantasy of it than anything else. She also told me he had encouraged her to work on our marriage and was actually supportive even if he was forward about his intentions of wanting to sleep with her. We put a pin in it for the night and woke up the next morning and started into the arguing again. I was fired up and had one of those mic drop moments in an argument where there's not much you can really do afterwards besides think. I went outside to get some fresh air and a few minutes later she followed me outside. Everything about her body language and attitude changed. She leveled with me as a person and told me everything she felt. She felt so powerful as a woman coming into her femininity and she loved the feeling of being flirted with that way by men, but she wanted to be able to entertain that and still come home to me. In the go out and have a drink or two with a stranger and come home to your husband every night kind of thing. She was affirming in so many different ways that I was the only person she ever wanted to sleep with or be with and that our marriage needed to evolve. I agreed completely and things like that had always been a mild fantasy of mine as well. To have a woman as your wife that radiates that kind of energy and appeal. In the middle of talking all this out and the excitement of finally sharing a truth and the realization that we had finally found some common ground, she spills the beans that she had sexted him during their conversations. I was so ready to forgive everything that had happened and move on with our marriage, I didn't think about the fact that what she said meant that when she leveled with me the night before and told me everything about her and the guy she was texting, that those words were also a lie. I know opinions on cheating are back and forth. If there wasn't sex, it wasn't cheating. We both believe that emotional cheating is a thing and that sting is also a form of it. Even if she actually slept with someone else, I wouldn't have cared. I'm not a possessive person at all. I just can't get past the fact that she lied to me so much in a week. She's known by everyone for being honest to a fault and genuine. It's her most endearing quality. She admitted she knows she's having a quarter-life crisis, and having had one at a point as well, I understand this isn't a testament to who she is as a person. I just don't trust her when I look at her, and I don't know if I ever will again because of how effortlessly she lied. I can't tell if it's because this just happened and it'll get better over time, or if I'll always feel this way and I don't know what to do. Her intentions seem real to work on our marriage. She looks at me lovingly and is putting in effort. I just don't know if I can get past it. I can't help but feel her desire to work on our marriage is because she doesn't know if financially she can be secure without my support.